Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of the KCGN podcast. My name is Jeff.
And my name is Daniel.
And
it's been about
it's
2
been
months.
a month, according to, I was looking at the YouTube page. It looks like our last episode was uploaded about a month ago. We've been doing some streaming, though, kind of streaming experiments with Facebook and YouTube streaming.
Yeah, the Blizzard streaming service that is out now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool, I think, that they've... so for those that don't know, if you're on Battle.net playing some games on there, you can actually very easily stream to Facebook now, specifically Facebook, which I thought that was kind of weird. But I think streaming on Facebook, I find it to be a better alternative, at least for us, as opposed to, Twitch.
Because it shows
it's much more difficult. It's much more difficult to build up an audience on Twitch
because everybody is on Facebook and they're always looking at their newsfeed, and it lets people know you are live.
Yeah,
and it automatically plays on your feed.
I was thinking, I kind of used Facebook's live functionality myself earlier, this summer. I was out at Disney World and I tried using it a couple times out there, streaming some exciting, action-packed lines. And I thought to myself, this could really be the future of social media. You can stand in line and in real time let your friends see what you're seeing in line. That is the future.
Absolutely.
Right there. But in all seriousness, I think the way that functionality is so accessible and easy to use, especially like on a phone, on a mobile connection, and the reliability of it, I think that's really cool. I think that's really something that people should get excited about. I didn't even know that I remember hearing about it, and I was like, oh, that's not going to be out for another couple of years or so. And then I noticed, oh, it's out now. I should give it a shot.
Open up your phone and hit record.
I thought that was really cool. That live thing from your phone. I thought that was really...
So when you're taking a shit...
Yeah.
You can live
you want
stream.
to watch me use the restroom in real time. So, Dan, you and I played some new games over the last couple months, or month, rather. What have you been up to?
Well, about a few weeks ago, I tried No Man's Sky, and we all know about that.
It's been very controversial.
And no one's talking about it anymore. So
yeah. I know I saw a chart of No Man's Sky's player base volume, and, it's got this huge numbers right at launch, and then it very sharp down immediately after.
Yeah, it was basically... I wanted to give it a shot myself. So I checked it out from the library.
Yes.
And because I didn't want to pay for it if I didn't like it. I didn't want to waste $60. So got it on PS4. Okay. So tried it out. And my impressions is basically the same as the general consensus here, is that there is no depth, really. There's not much to do. It's huge. It's awesome that it's an absolutely huge universe, and you can go from planet to planet, and that's nice. But it's so unlimited, but it's so limited. It's very limited, but it's unlimited, but it's very limited.
I've heard that
because you can't even crash into the ground. You can't. It automatically.
I saw that.
Makes you, I don't like that. I want freedom.
I want the freedom to fuck up.
Yeah.
I mean, in all seriousness, that's how the game starts, isn't it? Like, you crashed your spaceship into the ground and you've got to, repair it or something.
Yeah.
That's how the game starts. And you can't do that again. You can't get stranded on a planet.
I don't remember if it crashed, but it was broken down.
Right. Like, you can't crash or anything and then, have to rebuild your ship. But there's also other stuff from before the game came out. Like there were videos of like desert planets, which apparently aren't in the game. Um, Massive fleet battles.
Mm-hmm.
There was also the
You're
specific
yawning
mention.
because it's
I
that
did yawn.
it's that thrilling.
It's getting late, yeah. But there was also the whole premise of I think he did specifically the director of the game specifically mentioned you'll be able to fly into a sector of space and
Oh
find
my god.
two warring factions fighting each other, and you can pick a side and join this faction on their fight or whatever. And I remember hearing that, and I'm like, oh shit, this sounds awesome. This is like exactly like what a video game version of Star Trek Voyager would be. And the game is nothing like that. It has none of that.
Okay.
It's just like straight up
Yeah,
go to planet. It's like if you broke down Minecraft into instead of you just like take out all the crafting stuff and you're just running around gathering resources, but you can go to so many procedurally generated worlds. You just collect like resources though. I get the impression that that's exactly what No Man's Sky
I
is.
forgot that, or I'm reminded about what the developer said. So there's people defending No Man's Sky.
Are there still people defending No Man's
I don't know. They're quiet. But the thing is, they talked up so much hype for this and features that were not in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes around and says, "Oh, we might have to make you pay for DLC."
Yeah, I think
After
that's when everyone
you're
lost.
overcharging for $60 for a game that's probably worth half that.
Not
Tops.
I think.
Because I see games like Ark, I see games like Rust cost $20-$30, and those are like smaller studios. This is a smaller studio. 14 people made this.
And that's the argument that I see a lot of on the internet. 14 people made this game. You need to give them some leeway. Well, a shitty game is a shitty game, and it doesn't matter how many people worked on it. And
Well, I think money,
I say this from
what they're charging
from
for it also
perspective
plays
of-
into it.
from the perspective of someone who has made a game by myself, I might add, and I sell it for 99 cents in the Google Play Store. It's called Business Call. You should go check it out. But it's
Pluggy
not.
McPluggerson.
The thing is, I made this game by myself, and I knew what my scope was working by myself. I don't have the greatest art skills, so it's not a beautiful game. It's not 3D. It's all 2D.
It's beautiful, Jeff.
And the thing is, I don't have great art skills, and I decided to go with a very simple pixel art style. So at least it looks consistent, and for what it is, for what the scope is intended to be, it does everything that it promises to do. With No Man's Sky, that premise, and a lot of it's in advertising. I understand that, but looking at it objectively as a game alone, if it didn't have all that build up in the advertising, I still feel like it would be received negatively because all the game really is, when you boil it down, is it's Minecraft without crafting.
I don't think it would be as received anywhere near as negatively, because if they didn't hype it up and then have Sony pushing it,
Right.
if they were, it was just another Greenlight game that was $20,
Right.
I think people would look higher on it. And it'd be
you
just
know-
like, oh, this is nice, but they
I feel
wouldn't.
like there would be a lot of people who would look on it as a. I feel like it wouldn't receive as much praise. I don't feel like it would receive more praise. I feel like it would receive less.
Well, it'd be
criticism.
less. It'd be less negative.
I feel like it would be less criticism, but not more praise.
Well, I think there'd be more praise over the concept that the procedurally generated worlds that they accomplished with this.
Here's the thing, though. There's just so many games on Steam Greenlight now, and indie games coming out on Steam that boast their procedural generation or whatever. And you have all those cheap Xbox 360 Minecraft.
But
clones.
have
Those
any-
are coming out now? On
But
Steam.
has any game done it like this?
Yeah, actually, Starbound, it's 2D side scrolling, but it did do that same premise, and I've heard that it's actually a lot of people who were big in the No Man's Sky are saying that they are finding Starbound to be a pretty great way of kind of scratching the itch of what they wanted.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's 2D, and there's a
it's 2D and it doesn't have as much focus on space battle, but the actual here's the thing about Starbound, and I haven't played it, and I'm kind of paraphrasing from what something I heard on a other podcast show. With Starbound, when you go to a planet, there's not much gameplay involved in interspatial travel. You get in your ship, you tell it where to go, and then you go there automatically. And um, the thing is, when you go to another planet, it's like what No Man's Sky was advertised as. All of these planets are actually, interlinked, and you join servers, of course, but there you can find other players on the various planets in this game, and you can do you have this emergent multiplayer aspect of it. But the thing is, every planet, instead of just being mine for minerals, identify all the animals, find the artifact, and go to the next one, do it all again, there's actually all this procedurally generated story stuff. Some of the planets have bosses on them. Some of the planets have story elements to them. It's all the planets feel like they have a lot of unique depth to them, as opposed to No Man's Sky, which has the opposite.
Well, would it be easier to do that with a 2D game than a 3D one?
Looking at it from again a developer standpoint, procedural generation is much easier when you're looking at 2D stuff. And
see, that's the thing here is the difference is one is 3D and one is 2D.
The thing is though is it really depends a lot
because there's more immersion with a 3D game in terms of first. Well,
I feel like that depends very heavily on the very specifics of.
Well, immersion in that you feel more like you could be there.
For a space sim game,
first person.
I feel like first person perspective is going to be the best option for a space sim game. But for looking at Starbound, what it does, I feel like that's what No Man's Sky was teased as, and I feel like that's something that's definitely possible to do in 3D. And it would be very technically challenging. It would be very technically challenging.
Well, I wonder.
But here's the thing. That's what everyone was excited about. They were excited about seeing something that was very technically challenging to make, and that's not what they got.
The thing is, we didn't even get multiplayer.
Right, yeah.
They said that you could see another character, and then somebody tried it. And
that's the thing. When you look at something like this, he can say, "Yeah, the universe is just so big, you'll never see another player probably, but the functionality's there." And that's the point where I've got to say that's BS, because in order for that to work, all those players have to be connected to the same server. And who in their right mind is going to rent server space for something that only has a 1 in a million chance of ever happening?
It's stupid.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of how this could work from a technical standpoint. Now, when you look at how Call of Duty handles its multiplayer on consoles, the way that works is one player is chosen as the host, and their console hosts the multiplayer game. So everyone else connects to that player's console, and that player's console, in addition to playing the game, is also processing all the information for all the other players. It's holding all the information for the score and so on. Now, when you look at, that's how a lot of console multiplayer games are done. Rocket League, I think, actually uses servers, but all the Call of Duty games do that. I don't think Battlefield does, but there are a lot of console games that use peer-to-peer, which is what it's called, peer-to-peer connections. You can't do that with No Man's Sky, though. You can't say two players are on this same planet right now, establish a peer-to-peer connection between them. You can't do that. Because the thing is, what you would have to do is you'd have to have a server where those players are on, and the server would have to say, oh, okay, these players are on the same planet right now, let them see each other. And that's not what the game does. There's no network connections. If the game had any network capability at all, it would require PlayStation Plus, and it does not. And here's the thing, though: if it had any network capabilities, you would have to have PlayStation Plus to play it, and that's not a requirement for No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky does not require PlayStation Plus on PS4, and since that's the case, it means the most number of players that you could connect to and play online with would be one. And that's not possible for No Man's Sky. Based on what the director of that game claims to be the case. That's just not
Well,
possible.
you could have it to where you can do co-op with one person.
Right, but then you're never going to encounter any other people, and that's kind of what was advertised.
Well, you could have it to where you spawn on... I don't know. It just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't,
Just-
and it's really dumb.
14 people made the game. I wonder what would it be like if 100 people made it.
And here's the thing though. I can't release a game and say that it has all these amazing features and then release it and it has none of that stuff. It's just a blank screen that says thanks for buying my product, press back to exit. And I can't do that and say, "Oh, well, I'm just one person. What do you expect?" That's not acceptable.
Mm.
So why should it be acceptable for a 14-person team to do the same thing?
Well, it's not acceptable. It especially isn't acceptable when you're charging $60 frickin'.
Yeah, that too.
That's the problem I have. If they were charging $20, I'd be like, okay, this is nice. Okay.
The thing is, it looks very much like a procedural generation engine for a game that does not exist.
Like,
It's
there
like they
was
made it part of a game.
There was some fun to it. Like, it was also kind of nice that, you're just... Like, you can, like, go to different... there's aliens on different planets, and you can, like... do things for them, or whatever. But
one thing I did like, from what I've seen, it looked like you could like find these artifacts on planets.
Yeah, the artifacts.
They teach you individual words of an alien language, so when you go to talk to an alien creature, you can better understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool mechanic, and I'd like to see that used in an actual game. But
well, because it's so slow to gather resources with that beam gun, and you're constantly refilling.
I will say that beam gun looks like the least satisfying weapon. Not even a weapon. It's the most least satisfying tool to ever be.
Well,
in
it's
a
also,
video game.
I think it's a weapon too.
Oh yeah, you can use it to zap things.
But it is what it is. Not worth $60. End of the day, no, hell no.
Well,
That's all. I'm done with that shit.
Yeah. Well, I have better reports from my gaming activities over the last month. I haven't played too many new things. I've been playing a lot of Rocket League. I've discovered that I actually have no skills and it's all luck. So good to have that clarification from
It's
the
all
Rocket
luck. Oh,
community.
okay.
Good. Thank you, Rocket League community, for the clarification. I now know that my current tournament ranking or my ranked play ranking at in the elite tier is pure luck. I'm glad to know that I'm a very lucky man.
You're very lucky.
Been playing a lot of that. Been playing some Overwatch as well. I streamed some of that on the KCGN Facebook page. Been playing May, the Ice Lady, and been playing McCree, the cowboy. Playing both those characters a lot recently, and
saddle again.
The thing about those characters is I didn't play them much initially when the game came out when I first got it, and I kind of left them untouched for a long time. Like,
somewhere in the world.
Basically, until now, I'd left those characters untouched, and I thought it was really interesting, kind of jumping back into the game, playing it several months after release. I've been playing it for a while, and I started playing as these characters that I've never really played as. It feels like an entirely new experience.
Oh yeah,
I think that's
each
really
character is refreshing.
Mm-hmm. It just really shows how radically different every character in that game feels. That's a real accomplishment in design work.
And in other news, Paladins is not in any way anything to do with Overwatch.
Is that the thing that's not
according
Overwatch?
to the developers? They said it's not anything to do with Overwatch. And then the first thing I see is a guy hooking a character in the air, pulling him, and then shooting him.
Well, to be fair,
and a guy with a shield.
That is a thing in the thing of the hook is a thing in a lot of MOBAs, but
and I see a guy with a shield.
Overwatch
looks like
is
Reinhardt.
Overwatch is a first-person shooter MOBA, basically. But yeah, that game is a straight-up Overwatch.
And and one of the guys was like rolling like Junkrat, and then
Yeah, I've seen that.
exploding.
That's oh man. But
Come on now.
oh, excuse me. That's how I feel about Paladins. I did play one new game since our last episode, though. At least one new game, and that was Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. This game came out of nowhere. I heard nothing of an announcement about it. I just looked on Steam one day. I was like, wait, they made a sequel. Okay, awesome. So, for those who don't know, Pac-Man Championship Edition, available on Steam right now as well. It's very similar to, traditional Pac-Man, except they've kind of thrown all the rules out the window, sort of. So the way this works is, you play Pac-Man, you go around the maze, top-down view, traditional Pac-Man stuff, but there's only, at the start of the game, there's like only one ghost that's actually active, and he's flying around the maze trying to catch you. And what you do is all the other ghosts there's like a ton of other ghosts in the maze. They're all sleeping. And you go past them to wake them up, and then they start chasing you. So what you do is you basically form this huge line of ghosts that chase you until, and then after you eat all the pack dots on one side of the maze, a fruit appears, and you eat that to reset that side of the maze, basically, to a completely different layout with more ghosts. And so basically what you do is you basically keep getting them to line up behind you, and you get a huge trail going, then you eat a power pellet, and you eat all of those ghosts in one fell swoop, and it feels very satisfying, and it's awesome, and it's so great, and it's really, really good. So Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 came out, and it takes all the rules of Pac-Man Championship Edition 1 and throws those out the window and does something completely different. So with Championship Edition 2, you're still, playing as Pac-Man, top-down view and whatnot, and the number of ghosts, starts at 1 and it increases with each maze that you do. So, the first maze it's 1, and there's 2, and there's 3, and there's 4. So the way this one works is there's still ghosts that are asleep, but you have this one ghost. He's wandering the maze like he normally does, and when you collect ghosts, they warp to that ghost position, and basically they form a big conga line of ghosts that are kind of now navigating the maze independently.
Mm-hmm.
And if you bump into them 2 or 3 times, then they all consolidate into one ghost that's pissed off, and it starts chasing you, and that's when it can actually kill you. So what you're trying to do in Championship Edition 2 is when you eat enough pack dots, a fruit appears, and you eat it to basically jump to the next maze. And then once you've gotten through all the fruits, a power pellet appears, and you eat that to basically eat all the ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of similar. It's just the way the ghosts behave is much different now. I think the idea of being able to bump into them to make them angry, I think that's kind of interesting. As opposed to, bumping into them and dying instantly.
They just need a Snickers.
They do need a Snickers. So I think it's really fun. I've been playing it on my arcade cabinet. It works perfectly with that. If you have a MAME cabinet, it is played entirely with the keyboard, so you can program an arcade control board to be compatible with that. It's very fun. Highly recommend it. I need to play. I'm probably going to be playing it some more after we finish recording this episode. Actually, I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Yep.
So, that's kind of what I've been up to. Been kind of a slow month for games for me. Sort of.
Yeah, it's because I got 2 jobs now, and all that crap, and like photography gigs here and there. So it's hellish. There's like no time for nothing anymore.
I totally feel you. That's partially why it's been so long since our last episode too.
Yeah,
now,
definitely.
Moving on, Sonic Mania, the big new Sonic game coming out.
Well, there's 2.
There's 2 of them.
This one's the retro.
Sonic 2017, I think, is what they're calling that other one. But this one is Sonic Mania. It's actually being made by the guy that did the Sonic CD re-release on Steam a while back.
Yeah.
and that actually has some interesting history behind it. I think he actually did that whole thing by himself as like a fan project, and he pitched it to Sega, and they said, "Oh yeah, this is awesome, do it." So,
Yeah,
um,
it's better than what they've been doing the last few years.
yeah.
Or not doing.
Sonic Mania looks amazing. It's got an awesome soundtrack. It sounds like if they made a sequel to Sonic CD, basically, is
The
what
thing
the
is, I
soundtrack
didn't
makes.
really like CD.
Well, I mean, like as far as the soundtrack goes, it
Yeah, I
feels
mean the
like
gameplay is different
if they had made another Sonic game on the Sega CD after Sonic CD, I think that's what Sonic Mania would
because
be.
the problem with CD, it was just so convoluted and
It has that convoluted time travel thing, which I feel like that was partially solved in
it was too
the
like
re-release.
there was too
Because the
much
thing is,
crap,
here's the thing though,
vertical crap going
with the
on.
whole time travel thing, that was really clunky in the in the original Sega CD
Because
version
I
because
hated it.
the transition sequences took so long. They were very long because yeah, the loading time back then it was just such a huge loading time. So with uh with Sonic Mania, or sorry, the Sonic CD re-release on Steam and Xbox Live and PSN a few years back, um, it didn't have that problem. And actually, that game was the whole Sonic CD experience completely redone from the ground up. Um, the guy went in and he basically perfected Sonic CD to the best of his ability. And that's pretty impressive. And he even added some features too.
Mm.
So Sonic Mania looks to be a very traditional Sonic platformer game. It does have some new mechanics though, like you have the drop spin now, where you can like drop kick to the ground and then get an immediate or speed boost off of that. I think that's really cool. There's some really cool stuff with level design that they're going to be able to do
Yeah,
with
and
that. I
that
think
collector's edition, I'm going to pre-order that.
collector's
Like,
edition.
I need to pre-order it like right now. Like,
You get like a gold. You get like a gold ring. You get you get a statue of classic Sonic standing on a Sega Genesis as the stand.
yeah, I need.
Cool.
You get like the cartridge with the gold
Cartridge
ring that pops out.
That, and you also get a what is it? Thing with the download code on it. I don't remember what it's supposed to look like, but it's pretty cool. I'm looking very forward to that. Have they?
We gotta wait till like March.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. The Sonic cycle has nothing on.
But
Sonic
there's a
Mania.
lot of stuff coming out on March,
Yeah.
including our next topic, or after our next topic.
Yeah. So not this topic, but the next one after this one. Apple announced a partnership with Nintendo. They're going to be they're going to be releasing Super Mario Runner, I think is what it's called, on iPhone. It's going to be exclusively on iPhone first. They did say it is going to be coming to Android as well.
I would hope.
I think at the time they just said other platforms, but either way, I saw the gameplay of it. I think that's actually an ingenious idea. They've taken the Mario formula and adopted it into the Infinite Runner genre, and I think that's something I'm seeing with a lot of stuff. Pac-Man did it with Pac-Man 256, and that was a fantastic game. I think the Infinite Runner genre, when you kind of bend it in that way, like you take that idea of an Infinite Runner and you just kind of think entirely outside of the box using in other games mechanics with that formula, I think that's really clever. And what they're doing with Super Mario Runner, they've basically consolidated all of Super Mario Brothers gameplay into basically a single button input. I think that's awesome because what other inputs do you have apart from
Those are one of the few mobile games I will play because
Mario Runner?
Yeah, because it's just tapping the screen. It's not like I have to use buttons on a screen like a gamepad.
Have you tried the Pac-Man 256? Because I do highly
No,
recommend.
I've never heard of it.
Pac-Man 256 is amazing, and it's basically it's like Super Mario Runner in a sense. It's an Infinite Runner that's been it's a Pac-Man game that's been built on the Infinite Runner formula. So you have a maze that's randomly generated as you proceed upwards, and you have like the whole. It's based on the idea of Pac-Man's kill screen, where half the screen is glitched out. So in Pac-Man
Yep.
256, the idea is you're on the final level of Pac-Man, and the glitch is slowly coming up from below, and you have to basically continue moving upwards to escape the glitch, and you get to try and survive as long as possible while eating Pac Dots and whatnot. It's an amazing game. It's an awesome take on
Yep.
the Infinite Runner formula, and I highly, highly recommend it to anybody who's looking for something to do on their phone. So, Super Mario Runner, I feel like could be a very strong competitor to that. Basically, you have a Mario level. I don't know if it's randomly generated or not. I assume it is because it's an Infinite Runner. But basically, Mario runs forwards automatically. There are parts of the level that cause him to run the other direction. But
Yeah.
basically, you tap the screen to jump, and if you jump onto a wall, Mario starts sliding down it. You tap the screen again, the wall jump off. It's like all of the directional controls in Super Mario Brothers have been automated, and I think that's perfect for the audience they're trying to pull back in, because they said what they're trying to do with Super Mario Runners, they're trying to basically pull in that phone market, and they're trying to get them to try games on Nintendo's main platforms as an extension of that. They feel like people playing Super Mario Runner on their iPhone will feel inclined to play the mainstream Mario games on Nintendo console.
See, I don't know if that. I don't think that will work.
Like that's a little bit of a stretch. So when you look at the monetary investment that you have to make for to
No
play,
one's gonna go buy. Well, it depends what the NX is, and we're getting to that right here.
and that
That
brings
segues into the
us,
NX
like, yeah.
rumors.
There have been a lot of rumors about the NX, talking about it being a portable console hybrid thing. I honestly don't know what to think about it. I know Nintendo's been very secretive about it. There was an interview with Nintendo of Canada or something.
Yeah.
The first question, or the interviewer didn't even get a chance to ask a question.
Yeah, he said, "I know nothing about the NX. Don't ask."
The interviewee said straight up off the bat. Now, I just want to start off by saying, if you're going to ask me any NX related questions, we're going to have to cut this interview short. And then he kind of got into this discussion like, oh, it's that bad? And then he's like, yeah, we're really trying to keep it a secret. And so that interview went up. It was an unrelated interview about, I think, like Zelda Breath of the Wild, I think. And later, that interview, that whole first chunk about we're not talking about NX,
Let's take it
was
down.
removed at request of Nintendo of Canada. So they're really trying to keep things under wrap. Now, what do you think the reason behind this is? Because I know
Man.
their official statement is they don't want copycats to arise, which would imply that it's easy to create copycat hardware of the NX in a short enough amount of time, which almost makes me think it's like a peripheral, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, there's been things that have been, quote, leaked, showing detachable controllers off the sides.
That was a patent that Nintendo filed, and the thing with that was a patent, and there was a leak from someone claiming to be a Foxconn employee. Foxconn, of course, being a Japanese or a Chinese manufacturing plant. Basically, there was a big leak from someone claiming to be a Foxconn employee. He leaked a bunch of info. But the thing is, when he posted his sketches of what the console looked like, it looked like that patent. And that's kind of where a red flag popped up for me. Because I know a lot of the time when Nintendo patents something, or any company patents something, it's not supposed to look like the final product in any way, shape, or form. And with, something like that, I know a lot of people thought that this was the same guy that posted a leak about the Wii U before it came out. That turned out to be true. That this is not the same guy. I think that was confirmed. So, don't know.
It still could be credible.
Possibly.
I wouldn't doubt a lot of the shit that was said.
I do kind of. There's just enough. There's just too much there to that makes me feel kind of
because he said it was a hybrid, which everyone's saying that. So
right.
That is
That's not really something that's like that's something that everyone's already saying.
But he also said that it's drastically underpowered compared to a normal PS4.
But here's the thing: he's talking about the technical specifications in this leak too, and he says in this leak, he says that the way the system works is you have the controller that plugs into a dock, and the dock contains the hard drive and everything. But if that were the case, that means it's just streaming to the controller when you take the controller off of the dock. And if that's the case, then that's not really much of a portable system. That's just a Wii U gamepad.
I thought he said something about playing on the gamepad itself. It would show was it I don't know. It was the graphics would be toned down or something like that. If it was,
Just see that
you connect it to that dock. You connect it to that dock, and it's more powerful or something.
Here's the other thing, though. You have a lot of companies that are showing major interest in the NX. Openly showing major interest. You've got Harmonix showing major interest. You've got Ubisoft where they show major interest in everything, but you also have 2K showing major interest. And the thing is, 2K didn't show hardly any interest in the Wii U because it was so underpowered. So if 2K is showing legitimate interest in developing for NX, then I doubt that it's really as underpowered as this Foxconn leak guy is saying it is. I think it's fake.
And another thing he said was that they were still debating between AMD and NVIDIA for their GPU.
Yeah.
Which 6 months out, I don't know how credible.
That doesn't sound...
You would think you would know that.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of stuff, because Nintendo said they're trying to avoid copycats. And, there's some interesting stuff. We have a mid-gen console coming out pretty soon from Sony with the PlayStation 4 Pro. And you've also got Project Scorpio coming out from Microsoft to kind of be the successor to the Xbox One. Here's the thing I've got to say about that. What I've noticed a lot of people saying online is they say they've got a Wii U, they say they've got a PS4, they say they've got a PC. They say they plan to get an NX because they can already play all the games they can get on the PS4 that would be in 4K. They could play in 4K on the Pro. They can already do that on their PC. They've got their normal PS4 to play on their 1080p TV, for exclusives, and then you get the NX for all Nintendo stuff, which is almost entirely exclusives. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of people saying. I think NX is starting to gain traction somehow online without really any details of it being available, which I think is interesting, and that's very promising for Nintendo. And the thing is, I think what they might be doing is, by not telling anybody what NX is, that's building up a lot of hype and anticipation. Just like their silence alone is building up a lot of anticipation about the console.
Well, yeah, but the problem with that is nobody knows what the hell it is.
It's very shady marketing, yeah.
Go ask someone on the street, they'll have no clue what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about...
That's the thing, because your average consumer has no idea what NX is, because Nintendo's not advertising it yet. But...
that's what I'm saying. It's 6 months out.
But here's the thing.
6 months out, you need to say something.
That big hardcore market that they are still trying to win back from what happened with the Wii U, that's the market that is showing the most interest in the NX right now.
See, I don't know about that because I haven't seen anything that says it.
Every month, I see more and more posts showing up online saying, I am legitimately interested in the NX because, a lot of people saying they are more interested in the NX than the PlayStation 4 Pro. We know exactly what the PlayStation 4 Pro is, yet the NX, which is a complete mystery, is garnering more interest than the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Well, here's the thing.
Amongst, people who follow that news closely.
That interest, they have to show it off, and then we will see if those people are still interested in it.
Right.
Because now we know what the hell it is at that point.
Now there's been a lot of people, there's been a lot of speculation going around. Supposedly there's going to be a Nintendo Direct very soon for the NX.
Wasn't that also what the
That may
president
have
of
been.
Canada also said that it'll be in a Nintendo Direct?
That's what he said.
That's what he said. That's why they took it down, I think.
Maybe, but
the thing is, when is that Nintendo Direct coming? Because it needs to come within the next month. I think it has to.
It needs to be completely honest. It needs to come in at least like 3 months ago.
Yes, it should have came in E3.
You're gonna try and build up that like enough hype for a new console. You really need to do that earlier, and 6 months is not enough time.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft announced Scorpio. That's not coming out till the end of next year.
They didn't hardly provide any details on it apart from it can play it's a 4K game console.
They provided a lot more information.
They provided bare minimum information, and that's more than what Nintendo's provided for the NX. All Microsoft has said is it's a 4K game console. And, you've got Microsoft with their big 4K game console. You've got PlayStation coming out with a PS4 Pro, which is their touted 4K game console. But Nintendo, I feel they're going to release something. I don't know if they're going to jump on the 4K bandwagon just yet. I feel like
I don't think there's any way they do, because they cheap out on hardware. Because they want it to cost very little.
And, that's not really worked out too well for them.
No, that has killed them with the Wii U.
So either they'll learn their lesson with that, and
it kind of killed them with the Wii because no one bought games.
Right. So, either they're going to, either they'll say, okay, we've learned our lesson, let's go ahead and, make something that's more graphics intensive. But, they do say that they keep saying very cryptic things about the NX. It's mind-blowing. It's going to change the way you look at game consoles. And that just makes you think, okay, they're focusing on a hardware gimmick as opposed to, and I don't want to call it a gimmick, but, the unique hardware on Nintendo's consoles makes it very fun for developers to work with. And that I appreciate. It allows for a lot more creative ideas. But, when you have stuff like this, nobody knows what it is. They're teasing a hardware gimmick, which is what people have been saying they don't want.
Well, if it's a hybrid, is there a market for a hybrid?
I'm not sure.
Because it said you can connect this thing to any TV.
In order for it to truly be a hybrid, it's going to have to be able to not only serve as a
and that reminds
console, it's going to have to also serve as a handheld console.
That's the thing.
It's got to be portable.
The Pokemon developers said they are going to make a game for the NX.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells me that this thing's probably a handheld, too.
What if Nintendo's trying to consolidate their console and handheld?
No, they probably are, because they're losing. They can't do anything. They can't make a console. They can't do it because they're giving up, or they're making it. They're just consolidating. They're not giving up necessarily. They're just consolidating everything into one, which is what everything's going these days. Right. Everyone wants everything in one device.
The Xbox One all-in-one entertainment platform from Microsoft.
Entertainment platform. With FIFA 17.
Man, I don't know what to think about NX. It's still...
I am very excited to see what it is. I am super excited.
That's the thing. They have succeeded in that regard, I will say.
I mean, I would be super excited no matter what, because it's Nintendo.
Mm.
But I don't want to get my hopes too high. Because, the Wii U is... Like, if you have one, it's good. Like, the games are good. It's just no third-party support. And nobody plays on it. The online, other than, like it's Mario Kart and Smash.
Right.
You try to play anything online, and there's not many people. And...
I've got big hopes for the NX. to be honest, and I want to see them get that support from other developers they need. And I want to say Harmonix has already said they're doing something for the NX, and I'm very excited to see what that is. So all we can really do is sit back and wait, because
Well,
I've got a feeling that there's not going to be much to speculate on.
your
until
initial, the thing you thought initially you thought it was
I thought it was
VR.
a VR, and they did say straight up it is not a VR headset.
Which is a good thing, because
It's good that they're going out of their way to say that it's not some things. So
because there's the VR thing when that's not going to really do anything for them. A VR thing.
I agree with you 100% there.
At this point, in the future, maybe, sure, whatever.
I would be excited for a hybrid console, to be honest. If I can play, console games on the go, that's pretty cool.
Well, the problem
is that a lot of console games today rely very heavily on online capability, and when you take that on the go, you lose that. You're almost guaranteed to lose that, and you have to assume when you're making something for a portable console that you're going to have instances, at least, where you won't have online interactivity, or you won't have online connectivity.
Well, I wonder how big this controller is with the screen on it. If it's what it is, can you fit that in a pocket?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
That's not very portable if you can't fit it in a pocket.
I want to say one of the premises they had shown, I think, they had that one patent. It was the idea for a controller like the Wii U gamepad, but where you could take the sides off to use as standalone.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It had detachable controllers, according to the Foxconn guy.
Yeah.
But
that you could prop the screen up somewhere, and you could I don't know, you prop the screen somewhere, maybe in a car, and
it's basically
Mario Kart together.
It's as portable as a tablet. It's
Now,
portable, but it's not put in your pocket portable.
I think it is definitely portable, and the reason is I think they did confirm that it is going to be using cartridges, and
or just digital download.
No, I think it is. I think it is going to be using cartridges, because they did. I think there have been a lot of credible rumors.
Yeah, because putting a disc into that is not going to work.
If you're playing it in a car, and I've got a feeling that that's going to be what their big push towards marketing is going to be. You can play this in your car.
Yeah, it's not going to be a PSP.
I think that's going to be what they're going to be doing, a big push towards. And there is also, I think recently there was a patent, some trademark filing from Capcom regarding the new Resident Evil 7. Did mention cartridges in that trademark filing, so there's now rumors flying around that Resident Evil 7 is going to be on the NX. But one interesting rumor, a sequel that I can't remember what it was. Supposedly Nintendo is funding its development. I'm going to see if I can figure out what it is. Beyond Good and Evil 2, supposedly, with as much as Ubisoft has been talking about the NX, there have been rumors flying around for a long time that supposedly Nintendo is funding development at Ubisoft for a sequel to Beyond Good and Evil, which was kind of like a Zelda-ish RPG type thing that they did back in 2003. Very high acclaim, never had a sequel. Forever, there was some work in progress teaser video that leaked a while back, and supposedly it was a pitch to Ubisoft from the guy that made the original game, and it looked fantastic, but it never went anywhere. And it's kind of been the running, oh, they're never going to do this joke at every E3.
Yeah.
Kind of like how there was Fallout 4 with Bethesda until they actually made Fallout 4. What are some of the
F-Zero.
What are some of the other big running joke things been? Prey 2 also with Bethesda has been a big running joke.
The one for me is F-Zero.
There haven't really been any teased things for that though, or
something hints that they're never gonna fucking do again.
Just the thing that always gets,
or Metroid.
There was something last year I think that got announced that was one of those, oh, they're never gonna make this things. and I can't remember what it is, but
Conquer?
no, it was oh gosh, I can't remember now. But every E3, there's just always those jokes like, oh, they're never gonna make this, or they're never gonna make this, and then eventually, we see that actual announcement trailer. I've never played Prey. I've heard amazing things about it, but I know Prey 2 was like one of those things that was teased, or that was never teased. It was like one of the things that everyone wanted forever, and it was always in development hell, and everyone's like, "Oh man, they're gonna make Prey 2 this year, haha, elbow, elbow, wink, wink, nudge, nudge," and then suddenly Prey 2.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think
same
we've
Fallout.
said pretty much what we need to say.
Yeah.
And we're excited. So within the next month, I hope they have to say something these next few weeks, and we will immediately podcast following the direct or whatever the hell they have. It's going to be a direct. It's going to be a direct.
It's got to be. Moving on.
If you want to build hype.
Moving on. So moving away from NX, back in the 90s, hot off the heels of Blizzard's success with Warcraft 2. I think this was shortly after Warcraft 2, before Warcraft 3. I know.
Yeah, the expansion. Yeah. Warcraft 2.
So what happened? What happened was Blizzard basically contracted this developer to make a point-and-click Warcraft adventure game. And the game was 100% completed. It was just never released. Nobody knows why. It's just been sitting in an archive of Blizzard for so long. I think, and then recently it got leaked. The whole game was leaked. It's fully voice acted. It's fully animated. It's a point-and-click adventure game that takes place in the Warcraft universe. You play as an orc, and you start being held prisoner by some humans, and you have to break out, and it's this whole adventure game. And it's actually developed by the Hotel Mario team, just on a much higher budget, so the animation is much better.
Oh, toast is toast.
This is many years after. This is a couple of years after Hotel Mario came out, actually, and all those.
I hope she made lots of spaghetti.
Oh man, it's the meme train. But this is several years after Hotel Mario had come out, and so the animation is actually really good. That's a Blizzard took down. They've been actively taking down mirrors or link mirrors and whatnot. They've been trying to keep it hidden, but of course
they should just release it.
You can't keep anything hidden on the internet.
No, it's out. It's gone. It's like the Metroid remake. It's out there.
Dan, have you seen any of this Warcraft point-and-click adventure game?
Long time ago, yeah.
Okay. So
I've watched gameplay, yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I personally
never
really cared to play it.
Is it something that interests you story-wise?
No. Because it's Warcraft.
Well, I mean, fair enough.
It's never been about story to me.
Because I know there's a lot of lore in the Warcraft.
Well, there is, but it's not something I've ever really cared about.
Right. Because
it's always been gameplay to me.
Mm-hmm.
The story is. It's usually, I don't know. It's just because with Warcraft 2, how they did story was just the briefing, and it was like cheesy narrator, like
right.
The guy that sounds like this, like that, or like.
If they had released, because Warcraft, it's pretty much standard fare RTS game. If this had come out shortly after Warcraft 2, do you think you would have played it and enjoyed it?
Maybe.
At that age.
Maybe, but I wasn't that big into point and click back then.
Being able to basically walk around and interact with.
Well, I probably find it interesting, and because it's Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's okay.
Right.
But it's not, because, I don't know. It's not something that's ever I've had that much interest in. It was just, that's kind of interesting that they have a full game made, but they didn't
You know
release
that,
it.
and what's really interesting is it's not the only instance of a full game being released or being unreleased rather. There's a couple other, I can't remember what they are, but there's a couple of other games that have been 100% completed in development, but they just sat there
They're also
unreleased.
developing StarCraft Ghost. That uh, was it third person or yeah, I think it was third person view.
It's been stuck in development hell for a long,
They're
long
not
time.
making it anymore, but
Oh,
they basically kind of put it into StarCraft 2 because you can kind of, I think you can, I don't know, move around in third person there. I don't know. I didn't play enough StarCraft 2, but they kind of put it in there for.
Well, I think it's interesting. The animation in it is really in this canceled Warcraft game. It's very good. And when I found out that it was the same developer that did, like Mr. Mean and Hotel Mario and the Legend of Zelda: Faces of Evil,
Oh
my
God.
mind was blown. It's like, holy cow, this developer actually did go far away in their quality department.
Yeah, I mean we only one way to find out
Yeah,
to
we
see
gotta
how good it really is.
stream it. Um, Before we move
See,
on to
they
our
might have
next,
canned it because it might have been bad. I don't know.
possibly, before we move on to our next topic, I do want to say I just remembered something that I heard about. Nintendo released, they will started allowing preloading and pre-purchasing for the new Paper Mario game, and
Oh
they
yeah, that.
accidentally made the game available to download and play. So there have been people live streaming the new Paper Mario game.
Getting taken down.
That's a pretty well, actually, surprisingly, I don't think so.
Jeff, you should have
Um,
bought it. Even though it probably, I don't know if it's very good.
I did find a fairly humorous line of dialogue actually from it. Um, there's a scene in the game where Mario's locked up in a jail cell, and there's this shy guy outside of the door, and he says, "Well, I've already locked you in jail. There isn't actually much worse I can do without raising this game's age rating."
Well, Paper Mario's always kind of had some, there's some humor in there.
Paper Mario Sticker Star had no dialogue. There was dialogue during the opening cutscene, and then there was no dialogue for the rest of the game.
Well, we know you
I'm
love that game, Jeff. We
I'm
know
glad to
you
see that
loved.
they're bringing back dialogue for Color
Isn't that part of
Splash.
the novelty of that game? That
Oh my god!
series?
It's like if you took out all of if you like made Paper Mario, just stripped it down to its core gameplay and nothing else. That is what Sticker Star is. And on top of that, they went and made it as
Gotta have stickers.
it is so. The thing with Sticker Star is you don't do combat, and I've said this a million times, but I'll say it again because
Well,
it's
you
just
love
so
the game.
you don't you can't jump on enemies without having a sticker that you found randomly throughout
God,
the world
fuck those
that
stickers.
allows you to jump on an enemy. It's Mario. How can he not jump on an enemy without having a sticker that lets him jump on an enemy? What is that?
Well, he's always had stickers. He just
The
didn't
thing is,
realize.
if you don't have any stickers, you have to run away from the battle like a little wuss,
Little
and
punk ass bitch.
you just have to run away from the battle. There's nothing you can do to fight these enemies. Oh man, it's not
What
good.
were they thinking?
And it looks like they've kind of taken that same system and they've added a little more depth to it in Color Splash, which I appreciate to a degree. But honestly, it's not what people want. What people want is that traditional N64 and GameCube Paper Mario experience.
Wasn't the Wii one good though?
There was I liked Super Paper Mario because it felt like a true combination of platforming and the Paper Mario gameplay elements, but and it still had a lot of that story stuff there too. There were some really long story cutscenes in that game, and that was actually one of the criticisms for it, which is kind of funny considering that's what everyone's criticizing the new games for not having.
You got to strike
So-
a balance. Or some people just complain because
I will say
complain because it's not
Super Paper Mario had
the original.
Really, there you could spend if you were actually like reading through all of the dialogue in Super Paper Mario. There are some scenes that could probably take you upwards of 30 minutes to read through all of.
Oh God!
If you weren't skipping through any of it, there's a lot of text in that game. Which makes sense to a degree because it's kind of themed around being a pop-up book because it's Paper Mario, but I don't know.
I don't like walls of text.
It has some pretty huge walls of text, and that was one of the big complaints about it. But anyways, moving on to our originally planned next topic. The Digital Homicide. Now, I'm not talking about murdering people in games. This is a developer called Digital Homicide. They make games on Steam. They're one of those asset swap.
Assets.
I think that's the term people are using for these people now.
They basically buy bundles, throw them together, or free assets, and throw them together in a game and call it a game.
So basically, in Unity and Unreal Engine 4, what you can do is you can create. If you make, let's say, I go into a 3D modeling program, I make a 3D model of a car, I bring it into Unity, and I give it driving controls, and then I can basically take that whole model and script combination, and I can package it up, and I can actually sell it on Unity's store, which you can access in Engine. So the idea there is to kind of help newer developers and some developers who kind of need a good start.
Don't they also buy like blueprints for games?
Yeah, that's another thing you can do. You can create like blueprints for games. Like you can create
by programming, basically.
You can create the general outline of a game. The idea is that you'll go from there and kind of use that as a base. So, the goal there is to kind of help developers get a start, help them. The idea is you get placeholder models and stuff from this service, and that's not what asset swappers do. What they do is they buy art assets from the Unity store, or they just use pre-made ones. And made by Unity, or same with Unreal.
Basically, they made shitty games.
Hire games with these assets, no work of their own, but it's perfectly legal because the licensing rights established within these assets do say that you can use these assets for commercial products and whatnot.
Yeah, basically.
That's not what the intention of those are, though. It's the intention there is, let's say you're making a game and you need a little alien model, let's say, to use just temporarily for like an enemy, and you're going to change it to like an enemy soldier later on or something. That you just like buy a $15 alien model that's fully rigged with animations and whatnot from the Unity asset store, and you're good. But what this person's doing is he's buying the alien and just using it as is in his game, which is perfectly legal, but it looks shitty. So Digital Homicide had a ton of Steam.
Bunch of negative reviews,
mm-hmm.
And now they're going to sue them. They're going to sue everybody.
What they're doing is they filed a class action suit for defamation of fame, I think.
The class action suit?
Not class action. They filed a lawsuit citing defamation of fame against a group of. This is the funny part, actually. The defendants in the case are a list of Steam usernames, not the actual names of the people, so they can't actually enforce bringing those people to court.
Watch out, Alfonso Gamble.
Oh man. But yeah, that's a mess. But what happened was, shortly after they had announced plans to file this lawsuit, Valve banned them from Steam and took all their stuff off of the store. That
Lord Gaben cracking down.
Yeah.
Savior.
That is some beautiful
our savior.
Internet heroism right there.
But not YouTube heroes. Oh God. Did you see that?
No, I did not. What is YouTube Heroes?
This YouTube Heroes crap. Basically, it's like a program now to where you can basically get mass flagging people now. If you don't like something, you can mass flag them.
What?
It's something really stupid. So it's basically gonna make YouTube worse.
Well, I mean, that's
If
what.
you're a YouTube hero, you can like get mass flagging on
Oh boy,
yeah.
that sounds like a
If
great
you
time.
disagree or you get angry, oh man.
Oh, that yeah, I did hear about that. That kind of started with their new advertising uh, policies or something.
No
Um,
longer YouTube anymore.
boy. So moving on. Frontier, who's developing, they developed Elite Dangerous. They're also currently developing a Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 successor, which I'm actually pretty excited about.
Wait, what?
But I was just talking to somebody about it last night, and I can't remember what it's called. I'm gonna look up the
A
name of it.
success,
This might be actually a more interesting topic than what we were going to talk about. But you go ahead and I'm gonna look this up real quick and get some information on it. Um, Go ahead and describe this thing about Elite Dangerous, though.
yeah. Basically, there was a protest against the developers in Elite Dangerous. And so these protesters, this group, basically committed acts of, quote, terrorism on
In game.
in-game. So, because what was the expansion called? It was called, like, something. The new expansion allowed for something, like the weapon, what was it, heat weapons? I don't know the specifics. But the heat, these weapons were, like, really overpowered. So, apparently, and then the people got pissed off, and because there's no patch on it for months. So they just started committing terrorism in the game.
They're just hunting down players and griefing, basically.
Which is amusing. But, and then they responded by making them underpowered. Or they nerfed their weapons. So, that's basically how that went.
So, Frontier is also currently working on a game. It's called Planet Coaster. Frontier was the developer of Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, which I kind of saw as a big departure for the series, just like looking at the series art style and whatnot. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 didn't feel the same to me, but Planet Coaster is their new game, and it looks absolutely phenomenal as far as, customization options go, all that stuff. It looks like a successor to Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and it's like if you made Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, but so much better. And basically, it's made in Unity, so it's very easy to mod. In fact, one of their big things they're promoting is custom buildings and ride types and whatnot.
Ooh.
This looks like it could be something really special. The coaster creation tools, from what I've seen, look very powerful. A lot of very deep customization stuff. Free, free-form path building, kind of like the streets in the recent SimCity game. So this is available on Steam. It's called Planet Coaster. You can pre-order it. It's coming out on November 17. If you buy the slightly more expensive Thrill Seeker edition, I believe you get access to the beta version. So,
Which is that the beta out?
I'm looking at some updates here on their store page. It looks like they had an alpha weekend on the 26th. If you have the Thrill Seeker edition, you can play the. Let's see here. If you have the Thrill Seeker edition, you could join early bird owners who are currently playing the alpha, but only for that one weekend. Mm-hmm. So they haven't announced when the beta is starting, but the game does come out in November.
That'll be. I think I might have looked at that and saw it. I just forgot what it was called, and I didn't know who made it.
It's looking pretty great, and I saw some streams from some other big YouTube channels, and it looks very promising. I'm looking forward to
Better
Planet
than
Coaster.
whatever Roller Coaster Tycoon just did.
Is that I played? You know, they released a mobile game, and it was called Roller Coaster Tycoon 4. I hate Atari with every fiber of my being because of that. That is despicable. Because it's not Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's another one of
Well, didn't
those
they create? It
goddamn.
was called Roller Coaster Tycoon World or something like that.
That's the PC version that they claim
Is
is
that
the
a
true
piece of shit
successor.
too?
That isn't out yet, and I think it might be indefinitely on hold because of the negative reception of Roller Coaster Tycoon 4, the true successor to
I
Roller
feel like
Coaster
this is
Tycoon
like
3.
SimCity 5
You know, when everyone
all over again.
no, this is much worse because the thing is with Roller Coaster Tycoon 4, what do you expect from a Roller Coaster Tycoon game? You expect a theme park simulation or a theme park management simulation, uh, with um, some fun, artistic direction and whatnot, and you expect some strategic elements and whatnot. Roller Coaster Tycoon 4 is a Farmville clone.
Okay, we're done with this. We're done with that discussion.
Episode's over. Bye.
I'm done talking about that. No, I don't want to hear anything. No.
So, Planet Coaster definitely looks much better. I kind of want to get back into Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 now, actually.
That's been a lost genre for a while, the roller coaster. Since
Yeah.
Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, that was 12 years ago.
Well, Frontier also did Thrill, a couple other
Oh, there was like
games.
Thrillville or something.
Thrillville.
That was by
But that wasn't-
LucasArts.
That was by LucasArts, and it wasn't really Roller Coaster Tycoon. It had the same coaster building system.
Well, this is more than coaster building. This is like a theme park
Yeah.
building.
It still had the
Roller
same.
Coaster Tycoon was a theme park game. It wasn't just roller
The
coasters.
thing with Thrillville is it was pre-created parks that you would plop rides into, but you could with roller coasters you had very very big levels of freedom with that. And with I think they did a thing on Xbox One. I don't remember what it was called. Frontier also did this though, where they basically took that coaster building thing and made it real time. So basically, you're like trying to make this roller coaster that crashes into as much stuff as possible. I don't remember what it's called. It looked really fun though. But Planet Coaster definitely looks to be the real true successor to Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and I'm very excited for it. From what I've seen of the early builds, Dan, you'll actually be pretty excited about this. There's a YouTuber who's currently playing the beta version of the game right now. He's been kind of like doing all these recap videos. He's making a Middle Earth theme park, and it looks amazing. I watched a video where he was showing like his recap of construction on his what's the name of the place the elves live? I don't remember.
There's a few.
There's
The
the main
Mirkwood. There's Lothlorien. There's Rivendell.
Rivendell. He was doing his Rivendell section of the park, and he made this whole village, and then he had like these really fancy spiral staircases that went up to a roller coaster that like it's a suspended roller coaster that flies through this village. And one thing I've seen a lot of for this game is you can build. You know how in Roller Coaster Tycoon you could build roller coasters through the ground. You couldn't do that in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3.
Yeah.
They provide you with so much more freedom and creativity in that aspect now. You can build roller coasters through ground, and it'll show you like how wide the tunnel is, and you can like modify that. I think it just looks so cool. I am so excited for it.
I can tell.
But yeah, I'll try to find that YouTuber and I'll send you.
Oh yeah, and that terrorist group, they're called the Spicy Boys.
Oh yes,
Operation Spice 'em Up.
because they're hitting everyone with heat.
And this game deserves a better class of criminal. Gone are the days of piracy.
So, moving on to our last topic for this episode. I contributed.
You're in a book. You wrote some authors. You're an author of some of the articles. Blah blah blah.
So
anyway, the show.
So I wrote a couple of articles for a book. If you're not familiar with Unseen 64, they're a website. They specialize in reporting on beta content, unused content, early versions of games, and unreleased games. And they just released their first book, which proceeds go towards helping to keep their archival servers up online. So the book is called "The Greatest Games," or sorry, "Games You Will Never Play" is the name of the book, and it's basically a collection of articles that were written by not only myself but a bunch of other people. The Unseen 64 Collective, as we're referred to on the front cover. But it's a good book. There's a lot of cool information on there on canceled games that you may have never heard of, like Kid Kirby, which was going to be for the Super Nintendo, or the original version of GoldenEye for the
Kid
Super
Icarus
Nintendo.
and Kirby mashup.
The Kid Icarus game that Factor 5 was developing for the
Oh
GameCube.
my god, that would.
A lot of interesting stuff in that book, so I highly recommend checking that out. It's available on Amazon, and we'll have a link for it in the video description. But it's a great book, available black and white and color.
You gotta go color.
Yeah. So
How
yeah.
much is it?
I want to say the color version is somewhere around $60. The black and white version, I think, is around $30. I'm gonna look it up on Amazon real quick here and see if I can.
We'll post a link in the description below.
Here we are. So, video games you will never play. Right now, you can get in paperback, or sorry, black and white, for $27.93.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much the color version is. Let's see if I can find it. I've not seen the color version on Amazon at the moment. So, but yeah, it's got interviews with developers. It's got a lot of articles on unseen games. It's really cool. This book, well, Unseen 64, the website focuses on not only unreleased games but also beta content, unused content, stuff like that. This book does focus exclusively on unreleased video games, so it's still a very fascinating read. It's a large book, a lot of content in it, so definitely recommend checking it out.
Yep.
In the description for that.
I think that about that wraps it up. It's been a pretty long episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely hoping to do episodes on a more frequent basis, but with all the stuff going on, it's been kind of difficult. So,
well, we're gonna have Spook Fest.
Yes,
because October is here.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna try and do the KCGN Spook Fest this month. We're gonna try and live stream some spooky video games every week. So we'll see how that goes.
And at least, like, if one of us is only available, we can stream by ourselves a spooky game.
Right.
Because this is one of the best times of the year. So.
Absolutely.
Especially for spooky games.
So there'll be more information about that on our Facebook page. In fact, we may have even started getting our spook on.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to get my spook on.
But we may start doing that.
Spooky, scary skeletons send shivers down your spine, Jeff.
I don't think I feel comfortable with the skeleton being that close to my spine.
Well, I think there's one inside of you, Jeff.
That's the scariest thing of all.
There's skeletons inside of all of us.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and send off our audience here before they end up with skeletons inside of all of them. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.
See ya.